Hi, everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I am excited to bring you today from the Transformers Robots in Disguise line. This is 2016 Wave 1 Fracture. Now, let me explain. I'm sure as many of you know, even though this is cataloged as a 2016 figure, the first waves of the new year usually show up around November and December. And sure enough, we were starting to get some in-package images from Entertainment Earth. And a few days after that, some, but not all, of the Warrior class figures were showing up on Amazon. And I was able to pick up both Fracture here and Megatronus. And I do believe those are actually the only new Warrior class molds um, in that wave. The rest, there's like a repaint of Optimus Prime, a repaint of Bumblebee, and if it's even funny, I think the cases come with the original Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. But we're here to talk about Fracture, and I gotta say, there is a lot of cool things going on with this figure. Starting off with the weapon. Now, I have to tell you, I was getting a little frustrated with the Robots in Disguise line, including weapons with the figures that, if you watch the cartoon, you never really see them use. For example, you really haven't seen Bumblebee use the Star Saber that it comes with. He usually has a hand blaster. And then Strong Arm, the rifle she comes with is actually a little bit different. It's more like the crossbow, which we've seen with Transformers Adventure Optimus Prime. That was Takar's way of getting that weapon in. Fracture, one of the last episodes I saw before the season finale, you actually started seeing him use this weapon. Now, what's cool, as you can see, I am recreating a pose from the back of the packaging to some extent, where you can actually two-hand the weapon. And that is really cool. And that's actually something that a lot of these figures can't do due to the limited articulation. It's being done here because of the design of the weapon and the sculpting and design of the figure. Now, though there is some modular play to the weapon. First, you can hold it as you just saw. Next, you can actually hold it upright. If we just adjust the grip here, so it's you have it in the hand guard. Oh, the hand pops off. They do that. It does the they do. It does do that sometimes. It's a simple like little peg-on system. Nothing to worry about. And you can have it hold it like so. It's like a beating club. In fact, it really does look like a club with these little red bits here at the top. But the best way to hold it, well, I shouldn't say the best way, but the way I enjoy it the most is a way I haven't seen. It involves a design, just like strictly a design trick that the designers, I think they like not so much the weapon, but they knew the hand things were going to have to work a certain way with this figure in terms of the arms. So the weapon, I think the hands were designed to do this. As you can see, the hands are curved downward, not but with a slight angle. Now, but I should mention before I go further that in the packaging, they are actually not extended all the way. There's a small soft click you'll have to hear to get them properly in place. But so you would think that the weapon, when you plug it in the hand using this peg, which really is actually just for, I think was really designed for vehicle storage, would angle it like so. No. If you remember G1 Astro Train, there was actually they designed the hands in a certain way that it would force the peg of the weapon to angle out. So even though the hand here, as you can see, is angling in, by actually properly holding the rifle with the stock under the arm, you can angle it forward like a blaster. That is really cool and something um, that I think is oftentimes forgotten nowadays. So kudos to the design team on including that. So we're just going to bring the weapon off to the side. Um, Continuing to look here at Fracture, I'm just straightening him up a bit. He's rather articulated. You have the bends at the elbow. You have a universal shoulder that goes in and out. Rotation here, the whole pylon bit. Um, it does look like the little mini-con torpedoes are molded in, so that is nice. He's got ball-jointed hips, a single-jointed knee that does go over 90 degrees, and you have a little bit of feet articulation with it rocking back and forth. And and there is like a little bit of a mushroom cap there at the right below the hip. So you do have some swivel, and the head's on like just a swivel joint. So again, this is a simplified figure, but it moves. I mean, I'm not big on articulation. I just like having fun with these, and I think it's a really fun figure. Now we're going to get into the transformation, which is really cool. The first thing you want to do with Fracture is go ahead and return the figure to a neutral position. You'll notice that when you bend the arms down straight, they will click into place. That's actually for the transformation. So I'm going to come around the back here. Now, this actually transforms in 11 steps, so it is somewhat involved. And I have to give kudos to Hasbro that not only did they usually, with these simplified figures, will either leave out or not properly show certain steps. And it's not really the case. They even show the weapon storage, which I think is really cool. But you want to go down, rotate the figure, and then bring down the tire from the back. Now this is something cool. It'll snap into place so it's perfectly straight. Going back into robot mode, you want to notice that there's a little hole here and a peg on the side of the tire. Now, the peg is only on one side, so that's how you'll know if you have the wheel rotated properly. Next, you want to go ahead and rotate the wheel so it's straight. Basically, you have it lined up like that. Next, what you want to do, I'm going to bring this into like a sort of an angle, is go ahead and rotate the whole section up and around so that you're basically bringing the wheel now forward. Continuing on the front, you're going to go ahead and unpeg that whole section and keep on bringing it down. And you basically the wheels are going to end up, the wheel is going to end up between the legs. And if you remember that whole little section, that backpack section, that's actually now going to friction into that hole in the chest. That's something I actually really like about this figure, is that as you go through the transformation, you'll notice it uses a lot of the pre-existing ports and pegs in different ways. Now, going back up here to the torso, you're going to go ahead and fold the arms, the hands in. Those will just snap into place. Next, what you want to go ahead and do is bring the shoulders up, and this will peg into place, and then go and bring the arms down. Now, you see the little holes here where the hands friction into place. There are actually little tabs right there on the underside of the chest and torso, well, right above the waist, that they will peg into and hold the arms in place. That's really cool. So once you have that done, come on down and you want to swing the legs down like so. And then while you're doing that, go ahead and you're going to peg the front of the motorcycle into place there, just like so. And as you're moving it, it will unpeg slightly. That was basically because I think my hand was pushing up on my thumb was pushing up on Fracture's face. You want to go ahead now, now the instructions show just pegging the motorcycle together. What I recommend is coming in and sliding it together, because that is that type of peg. And especially when you're going back into robot mode, you want to make sure you don't just rip the legs apart, but that you slide them in. Now the wheels are kind of cool in that instead, you know how usually with motorcycles you have that teeth gear system where you have to have them lined up a certain way. This actually saves time. That on the wheel on this side of the figure has a little bit of a lip, and on this side it has a little bit of a slot that you can just bring it together, and I think it actually helps rolling it a lot better. With that done, you want to bend the legs at the knees. Go ahead, bring them up, um, and then there are little itty bitty posts that are on the back of the shoulders that the legs are going to peg into from the bottom of the feet. And just go ahead, uh, bring those in, and you just gotta look and make sure you have it all lined up and stuff like that. And once you get one, the other one will come in, and make sure you have everything pegged in. So we're just about done. Go ahead, flip out the kickstand. That'll hold the figure up. Now what you want to do, come in, bring in the weapon. It actually folds in half. There's a little notch here that pegs into the fin on the back. And using that post that I mentioned before as a hand grip, you can plug it in on this side and only on this side. And there you have a little bit of an extra exhaust pipe. And here's Fracture in its vehicle mode. Yes, it's very lavendery. Yes, there's not much of colors that you can do that can see. You have like the lavender, the little bit of a swath of red, and you have some silver here from the shoulders, but this is really cool. I'm a bit of a motorcycle fan. I prefer what's usually called the Harley Davidson soft tail design. Um, that's basically when someone says a motorcycle, um, and the old style, bikers on the road. That's the design. This is a more of, I think, a well, people call them hogs, but this is like I think called the long rider, where you basically have the extended front wheel like that. And this is kind of cool as well. Um, sometimes when it comes to motorcycle transformers, they hit, they don't, because you're dealing with a very small vehicle and not a lot of space to have parts in. But I think with Fracture here, they hit it out of the park. Um, this is a great vehicle mode. This is actually supposed to be the Earth mode, which um, is a little bit futuristic in that sense. Because Robots in Disguise takes place in the future, but you got little handlebars here, a seat, the exhaust, and I just think it's really cool. And I think pegging the weapon in does break up the lavender and purple a little. So definitely a really fun figure. As I said in the beginning, Fracture is a great figure. As you saw, the transformation's fun. Um, and I really like how it'll reuse posts and pegs from different modes for different bits to help bring everything together. If you can't even just tell, this is light years better than Deployer's Fracture. That vehicle mode, which by the way was the Cybertronian motorcycle, was floppy. Even figuring out the way the things pegged together and how solid it wasn't as great as this. Um, Definitely, if you're looking for a Fracture figure and you're not into the one steps, pick this one up. This is the best version of Fracture I think we have right now. I don't know if there's going to be a Legion or a three-step hyper change, who knows, but for most collectors, this is going to be the version of Fracture they're going to go for, because it's transforms, it's a bit more involved, it's not a simplified figure. Um, Little nitpicks. I would have liked if there was a way that these shoulders could lock into place in robot mode, but they move around. I mean, that I guess you can say that helps with articulation. I would have liked to have seen, and I mean, I was looking that maybe there were like a little tabs or something um, that could connect the Minicon torpedoes to. I mean, sure, it'd be a little out of scale, but just a fun throwaway thing. Um, Other than that, that's all I can say. I got this figure off of Amazon.com. It's been blinking in and out of stock from Amazon, and that's something you need to pay attention to because unfortunately, there's a couple third-party sellers that are trying to jack up the price on these figures, selling them for 25 or more dollars. Is this figure worth $15? Absolutely. That's what I paid for it. I think it's great. I actually think it's pretty much up there with Jazz and Drift as one of the best Warrior class figures we've gotten. Is it worth $20 or more? As I've heard some brick and mortar stores tend to price the Robots in Disguise figures. Absolutely not. The joints, the joint count, I mean that's not really an issue, but in terms of the plastic quality and things of that nature, um, I really can't recommend paying, $20 or more for this. Um, Maybe 16, 17, but definitely not 20. So this is your old pal Chuck. Hopefully, if this isn't on your holiday wish list for this year, maybe sometime in the new year you can pick it up because it's a great figure. We'll see you next time.